Hi there everyone. Today I'm going to show you another lemon recipe, and it's our basic old-fashioned lemon meringue pie. I've done a lot of lemon recipes on my channel and I've never done your basic lemon meringue pie. So this is a very simple recipe and it's so good. So I'm going to show you how I do this. Hey, you want to start by rolling out a one crust dough, and I'm doing an 8.5 inch pie today. So my recipe that I will leave in the description is for a 8.5 to 9 inch one crust pie dough. So we're going to roll out our dough. Okay, this is going to be a baked pie shell, so you're going to want to prick the bottom so it doesn't puff out. And this is going to bake in the oven 8 to 10 minutes on 475 because the filling is going to go in the crust after it's baked. So this is also called blind baked. So we're going to finish the edges of the crust. And we're going to fill this with beans or weights. I use beans and I use them over and over again. I keep them in a separate container so I don't have to waste fresh beans that I cook. So it's whatever procedure you want to do. And before I bake this at 475 for 8-10 minutes, I'm going to put it in the freezer for probably about 15 minutes, just so it sets, because it does set a lot better. I've just started doing that procedure. It doesn't have to be done, but it kind of assures that your crust is going to be set better. So I'm going to put this in the freezer for 15 minutes. Okay, here's our pie crust. It's really cold. I had it in the freezer probably about 25 minutes, and it's fine up to 30 minutes, but you can see how it's hard. So there are issues that can happen when you're blind baking a pie crust. This can slip and fall down, and it's very frustrating. It's happened to me many times through the years. When you do your blind bake crust, it'll fall. So that's the whole reason you use weights or beans. And in this case, I did another recipe where I froze my crust, and I decided it would be good to continue doing that for my blind baked pies. So this is very firm. It would be really hard to fall, but I kind of am double doing it. So now I have my beans that I told you about that I store in this container in parchment paper, and every so often you have to put new parchment paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this in here just like this, and it kind of protects the crust from burning a little. And you want it full just like this. So, and then when I take it out, I'll put it back in. If this is dark and burned, the paper, it'll last so many bakes. I'll just pour the beans and redo the parchment paper next time. So now I'm going to put this in a 475 degree oven for 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, while your pie crust is cooking in the oven, you want to get everything ready for your lemon filling. So in a pot, you're going to put 1 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and you're going to set it aside. Then you're going to crack 2 eggs. You're going to use the egg whites in the meringue that goes on top, and you're going to use the yolk for the filling that you're going to cook on the stove. So you want to keep these separate. You do not want the yolks mixed in with the egg whites. So that's where we're going to start. And then you want to squeeze some fresh lemon juice. You want 1/3 cup for this because this filling is for an 8-inch pie. And the crust is for 8 to 9 inch, but the filling is for 8 inches. So you want 1/3 cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice. You want 1/3 cup of lemon peel, and I'm going to zest this off, and a teaspoon, sorry. And so now what we're going to do is have a cup of water and we're going to go to the stove and get everything ready. Now at the very end, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. We're going to add the lemon juice and the lemon zest after it cooks on the stove. So let's go to the stove. Okay, so you kind of want to mix the cornstarch and the sugar together so it's all kind of incorporated together. And then you're going to, you have your stove on. You're going to want like a medium high, but you're going to start gradually adding your cup of water and stirring it. So we're going to get this all mixed in, and then we're going to add the rest of the water and start boiling it for 1 minute. So this should be cooking like a medium, no more than medium high, because you don't want anything to burn. So we're going to mix this together. It will thicken. We want to boil it 1 minute. It's starting to boil now and it's starting to thicken. So you want to do this, let it thicken for 1 minute. Set your timer and it's thickening fast. Okay, here's the mixture. See how thick that is? It's really, really thick. So now what we're going to do is gradually add it to our egg yolk, but it's called tempering. We want to cool this down and we don't want scrambled eggs, so that's why we're doing it like this. Just like a custard cream pie, vanilla cream pie, it's the same thing, only this is lemon meringue. It's the only difference. And let's say you were to scramble some of these eggs by accident, by not whisking it properly, you would just remove them in a sieve. Like you would just take a sifter and put it through, and it would get rid of anything that got scrambled. So that's what we're doing right now. Then we're going to go back to the stove, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Just keep whisking. Okay, you can see how this has all been whisked together. See how thick it is? Well, we want to put it back in the pan because we want to cook that egg yolk. That's the reason we're putting it back in the pan. And we're only going to boil it 1 more minute on the stove. And like I said, the purpose of putting it back on the stove is to make sure the egg is cooked. That's critical. So now I'm going back to the stove and boil this for 1 minute. Here it's starting to boil. You want to set your timer for 1 minute. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to add our lemon zest and lemon juice in here, and our 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to mix this all together, and then we're going to pour it in our baked pie shell. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to mix all this together. Here's our pie crust. See how nice that looks? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the beans out, and we're going to pour in our lemon cream. And then immediately we're going to pour our egg white meringue on top, because you don't want to wait, you don't want to chill this and then put the meringue on, because it will liquefy this filling. It'll get all liquidy again. So while you have this filling hot, this is the time we're going to whip our egg whites, put them on top, and put it in a 400-degree oven for about 10 minutes. There's other ways you can put it real high and do it quicker. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, here's our meringue. And I put 3 egg whites instead of 2 because even though for the 8-inch it only calls for 2, I like a little more meringue. So I added another egg white. And what it has in it is it has 3 egg whites. It has a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, and it has a 1/4 cup of sugar and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. And I don't put the vanilla in until when this is completely already where I want it. And then I just add the vanilla at the very end. So this is going to go in a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven, and it's going to go in there for about 10 minutes. And like I said, there's other ways that you can put it in higher heat for less time, but I prefer to do it this way because there's less chance of it burning. So you can kind of make little designs like this. Make sure you take it all the way to the edge, just like this. All the way to the edge. Make your little design. You can put more meringue. I could have put 5 if I wanted. Just depends on what you want. So now I'm going to put this in the oven and we'll see you when it's done. Okay, here's our pie. It's a little dark on the edges and I only baked it for 7 minutes. And I did it on the lower rack, but you can see how meringue gets affected. It cooks fast. So here we are. We'll have to give it a taste. Before we taste it, we're going to let it cool a few hours and then we're going to put it in the refrigerator after it comes to room temperature and let it cool for several hours. Hi everybody, I'm back. It's 10 hours later. I finished baking this lemon meringue pie this morning. I let it set out to room temp for about an hour and a half, and then I've been refrigerating it ever since. So it's been probably a good 8 hours it's been refrigerated. So I just took it out. This is a nicer piece. Isn't that nice? So this turned out really well. I haven't tasted it yet. I'm waiting to taste it in front of you. But lemon meringue pies can get weeping. They call it weeping when you see those little drops. Like they look like teardrops. That's why they call it weeping. And there's a few on here, but it never bothered me. And they say it can happen if you over bake the meringue. And there's a little bit on there, but it doesn't affect the pie. So it has never bothered me. So let's give this a taste. It looks wonderful. There's nothing like a really good lemon meringue pie. And this is a really good lemon meringue pie. So I hope you give this recipe a try. It's a really easy recipe. It's the old Betty Crocker recipe I've used for over 40 years. So I hope it turns out wonderful for you, and I hope you give it a try. Thank you.